Hey guys, Mike Cossette here. So I wanted to make a video because I was asked a very important question that I think a lot of people might be struggling with. And this is going to be geared towards landlords and renters. So if you are a renter or a landlord, maybe this video will help you ease some of your panic. So I'll explain the money cycle circle, what's going on from a big picture, and then let you know what you should do if you're in a position where you're collecting unemployment and you're not sure about what your future is in your job. If you're in the service industry or retail or even sales a lot of times, and you're getting that unemployment, a lot of times to qualify for a new lease, you need to have 3 times that monthly rent, or 2.5 times a lot of apartment complexes. Sometimes they don't count the unemployment money as qualification money. So there are a ton of people out there in this boat. I'll break it down for you real quick and then tell you what we're gonna do. First off, we have the government money. This is the government money. Uncle Sam here. And we've got renters right there. So the way the money kind of got shut down on this mortgage funding cycle is the renters, they pay homeowners and apartment complexes. And these are mortgages. All right. These guys, the mortgage holders and landlords, they pay loan servicing companies and banks. And the loan servicing companies, their money goes to the investors. Okay, and the investors, they in turn fund new mortgages. All right, so now we've got, and then that money people borrow and get homes, apartment complexes, and that type of thing. So when the government said you guys don't have to pay your rent, and the homeowners don't have to pay their mortgages, well, that shut down a lot of money flow. The loan servicing people and the banks, if you're a loan servicing company and a bank, you still owe your investors that money you're required to pay them. These guys, the investors, they know that the loan servicing companies don't have that much cash flow on hand. So what they did was they start cut risky loan products because they know their income isn't coming in. So they're not able to fund as many new mortgages. Well, this big interruption, eventually the government will step in and they will have to fund these guys, the loans and service providers and the banks. And the investors know that, but they're cutting their risky loans in the meantime because they know the cash flow. This money right here might take 6 months to come in. How does this affect the renters? Well, as a landlord and somebody who rents a commercial space for office, and the renting perspective is, I as a landlord would much rather deal with my tenant that I have, knowing that he cannot pay currently, and understand his problems because we have a relationship, than open myself up to the risk of them having to move out and finding a new tenant at this point, because so many people, his jobs are interrupted. How do I count that government income? Do I count that government income? What was their income before? Is their job coming back? These are all questions landlords are going to have to ask of new tenants to understand how they're going to get paid, right? And as the renters, they don't know if that money is going to be counted towards their lease applications. So what I would recommend for the renters is, if you're in a spot now, talk to your landlord and get the relationship and the communication going and let them know what is going on. I guarantee most landlords have already reached out to you. Apartment complexes probably said, we need to know 60 days instead of 30 days prior to you moving out. We would like you to sign a 15 or an 18-month lease, something maybe that's longer than they used to, because they need security, just like everyone else does. And those landlords would much prefer to deal with their existing renters than have to worry about qualifying and what that process looks like for qualifying a new renter. If somebody comes in and they're collecting government money and they worked at a restaurant, well, when is that restaurant going to be open? Are they going to be open? What are the tips going to look like now with spread apart seating? All of these questions are questions landlords don't really want to have to worry about over and over and again looking through applications. They would much rather deal with their current tenant. So if you're worried as a current tenant, and if you're a current leasing tenant and you are looking to move out into a new spot, like you're in an apartment, a lot of people in apartments right now are like, man, I need to get out of this apartment and get into a house. Well, the advice I have for you on that is find that house, get your applications together, and make sure that you communicate well with the new landlord and the new leasing company, if there's one involved, on what your status is and what the income that you're currently seeing, how that's coming in, and get that new place locked up with a lease, a signed lease, before you exit your other spot. Now, I know a lot of this is common sense, guys. You never really want to quit a job until you have one lined up. You don't want to leave a spot until you have a new spot to live. But this is going to be hugely important now, because the qualification aspect of renters from a landlord perspective and a renter's perspective is daunting. And with unemployment as a big question mark on how that money counts, that is going to be determined, is not going to be across the board. This is how we're going to do it. Not all the landlords are going to think the same. Some will count it, some won't. Some will say we have the same, even harsher qualifications now because of what's going on. And some will say we are opening it up and we're going to be super flexible. There's no real way to be able to tell who's going to be who. And from a landlord, they may change. One landlord may change their direction on what they're seeing and how they're taking applications. So keep your spot now. That's what everyone that would work best for landlords and the government and the money flow, is if these renters stayed here in the homes and apartments that they were in, because the valuation of a commercial building is how much money it is making. Without renters in there, it can't even be valued. So, and as landlords, you have to pay your mortgages. You might have been at a deferment or forbearance or something like that, to where you're not paying your mortgage, but that stops. That's not going to go on forever. So these summer leases are coming up, guys. If you're a renter, don't stress about it. Don't be concerned about it as much as you might be, because there's tens of thousands of people in your shoes. You're not the only one. And there's going to be a kind of a broad wave of renters wondering what to do and how it's going to be handled. And there's no real, set standard yet of landlords on how they're going to handle it. And there's not going to be. Not all landlords are going to think and act the same. So that's how, my advice to you is stay in the place that you're at if you can and you like it enough. You might even be able to get a little bit of a discount by signing an extended lease. Ask about that. Say, if I can, do an 18-month lease instead of a 12-month lease, can I get a little bit of a discount, or at least not raise my rent like they may have been planning to do? And as landlords, reach out to your tenants, find out their specific situation, and work with them, because if they leave, you're going to have a little bit of vacancy. And the people that are going to be applying might be in this pool of people that don't really know if they're going to have a job. And as a landlord, that's scary, because that's the last thing you want, is somebody that can't pay, and now you can't really evict them either. So that's my video for today, guys. I hoped it helped ease your mind if you're stressed out and you're in that group of people. I'll talk with you soon. Cheers.